Did you know that some roads around the world kill hundreds of people every year? And no, we're not talking about busy highways where accidents happen due to speeding, wrong overtaking, or reckless driving. Here, the problem is different. We're talking about routes where the danger is the road itself. There are roads that cross a mountain for almost 70 kilometers, with cliffs on both sides and lanes so narrow that barely one car can fit at a time. There are highways that cut through war zones, where every curve could hide an armed militia post. And there are stretches where mud swallows entire trucks, and help, when it comes, arrives too late. These are real routes, used every day by those who have no choice. Truck drivers, farmers, residents of entire villages depend on these roads to survive. Today on Bello Mundo, we will cross the most dangerous routes on the planet. We will bring you real data, absurd stories, and show you why each of them has become synonymous with tension. Number 1. Road to the Yungas, Bolivia. The first stop on our trip is in Bolivia on a stretch known worldwide as the Death Road. Officially, it is called the Road to the Yungas. It is a narrow route, just over 60 kilometers long, connecting the city of La Paz to the Yungas valleys. The problem is that it crosses one of the most treacherous regions of the Andes, descending from an altitude of almost 17,000 feet to just over 3,000 feet in just a few hours. The road has no side protection and barely fits one car at a time. On one side is the mountain, almost touching the vehicle. On the other, a deep precipice with no barriers and no margin for error. Weather conditions make the situation even worse. Thick fog, constant rain, and mud on the road reduce visibility to almost zero. Because of all this road kills an average of between 200 and 300 people a year. Even so, every day there are drivers who need to cross it. Worse still, there are tourists who pay to feel the adrenaline rush. Local companies offer bike tours along the entire route, betting on danger as the main attraction. Number 2. Jalalabad, Kabul, Afghanistan. Leaving Bolivia, we now head to a road in Afghanistan, where danger begins at the bend and ends in the sights of a rifle. This highway connects the city of Jalalabad in the east of the country to Kabul, the Afghan capital. It is about 65 kilometers, which seems short on the map, but in practice it turns into a veritable minefield. The route is mountainous, with sharp curves and cliffs up to 600 meters high. Any mistake in driving and the car simply disappears into the abyss. But that's not the worst of it. Part of the road crosses territory controlled by armed groups, where the risk is not only on the road, but also in ambushes, illegal checkpoints, and even attacks with explosives. Truck drivers who transport cargo through the region know that every curve can hide something worse than an accident. In addition, heavy traffic, including military trucks and crowded buses, makes any attempt to overtake a dangerous game of Russian roulette. There is no room for distraction and little time to make decisions. Despite everything, this highway remains the main link between the two cities. In other words, even though it is one of the most dangerous routes on the planet, it continues to be used every day by drivers who have no better option. And in this case, driving skill alone is not enough. Surviving there also depends on luck. Number 3. Sichuan Tibet Highway, China. From the violence in Afghanistan, we now move on to a different kind of risk. The scenery changes, but the danger remains, only now high up in the Himalayas. In southwestern China, there is a highway that connects Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan province, to Lhasa, in the heart of Tibet. It is more than 1,200 miles long, crossing remote regions, deep valleys, dense forests, and mountain ranges that reach over 13,000 feet in altitude. This is the Sichuan-Tibet Highway, a journey where the challenge begins even before the road. The thin air takes your breath away right from the start. Then come the curves, the cliffs, the dirt roads with no guardrails. In the rainy or snowy season, the situation worsens. Landslides, mud, and avalanches take over the road. When the weather clears, the dangers continue, with falling rocks, deep holes, and slopes so steep that trucks slide even with the brakes on. The most feared stretch is known as 99 Curves, a brutal zigzag that descends more than 4,000 feet in less than 25 miles. The driver finishes the route with his arms locked and the tires at their limit. And to top it off, there are reports of robberies in the most isolated spots. Even so, thousands of people cross this highway every year, not for adventure, but because, for many people, it is the only way possible. Number 4. Road of Bones, Russia. After the curves of Tibet, we cross the continent until we reach the eastern tip of Russia. There are no avalanches or precipices, but it is still one of the most dangerous roads on the planet. The R-504. Kolyma Highway connects the city of Yakutsk to the port city of Magadan on the Pacific coast. It is more than 1,200 miles long, cutting through deep Siberia, with stretches isolated for hundreds of kilometers and temperatures reaching -122 degrees Fahrenheit in winter. It became known as the Road of Bones because of the way it was built. During Stalin's rule, thousands of prisoners from forced labor camps, the gulags, were forced to clear a path through the ice. Many died there, and their bodies were buried in the frozen ground of the highway. It is estimated that tens of thousands lost their lives in the process. Today, the R-504 is still used by truck drivers, residents, and travelers, but it remains an extreme test. There are no gas stations, no shoulders, no emergency services. In many places, there are no signs or asphalt, just ice, snow, and silence. And that is the real danger. The road seems quiet, but if your car breaks down, you get a flat tire, or you run out of gas, there is no one to call for help. And in the middle of nowhere, with extreme cold and wind, freezing everything in minutes, a simple failure can cost you your life. Number 5. Karakorum Highway, Pakistan and China. Continuing our journey along the most dangerous roads, we now arrive in the Himalayas, and it is there, between northern Pakistan and western China, that one of the highest, most beautiful, and most dangerous highways on the planet runs. The Karakorum Highway connects the Pakistani city of Hassan Abdal to the Chinese city of Kashgar. It crosses breathtaking landscapes, passes through the Caracles Pass at an altitude of over 15,400 feet, and cuts through the Karakorum mountain range, home to the dreaded Mount K2. But appearances can be deceiving. The road is narrow, full of curves and unprotected slopes. Part of the route passes through areas with constant risk of avalanches, landslides, and rockfalls. In some places, mud takes over and even heavy trucks get completely stuck. Despite the dangers, the Karakorum is a strategic route. In addition to connecting two countries, it is used to transport goods and supply villages high in the mountains. However, this does not make the crossing any less tense. The altitude makes breathing difficult, the brakes suffer from the steep slopes, and to make matters worse, the weather changes without warning. In minutes, fog covers everything. Therefore, it is no exaggeration to say that there any curve could be your last. Number 6. James Dalton Highway, Alaska, United States. Crossing the ocean, we now arrive on the other side of the world, in the frozen north of Alaska. There lies one of the loneliest and most brutal highways on the planet. The James Dalton Highway begins in the small town of Livengood and runs to Deadhorse, near the Arctic Circle. It is more than 370 miles of road, cutting through wild tundra, boreal forests, and ice deserts. For much of the way, there are no houses, no villages, nothing. Half of the highway is just dirt. The surface is uneven, full of loose rocks, deep potholes, and craters that shake even the most robust trucks. In winter, temperatures can drop to 50 degrees below zero. And when the snowstorms begin, visibility disappears in a matter of seconds. It's a road built to serve the region's oil wells, so the only traffic consists of tanker trucks, heavy vehicles, and sometimes lone adventurers. But if something breaks down in the middle of the journey, help can take hours, days, or simply never arrive. Those who drive there know that there is nothing spectacular about it. It's just ice, wind, and the constant risk of getting stranded. Number 7. Zoji Pass, India. Leaving the ice of Alaska, we return to the tense heat of Asia, more precisely to a mountainous region between northern India and the border with Pakistan. There lies the Zoji Pass, one of the most dangerous roads on the Indian subcontinent. It is just over 8 miles long, but the stretch is so dangerous that it seems to have been designed to test the nerves of any driver. The road connects the Ladakh region to the Kashmir Valley, two territories nestled in the middle of the Himalayan mountain range. The altitude is close to 11,500 feet, with steep inclines, sharp curves, and very little lateral protection. When the snow falls, the asphalt disappears. When the sun comes out, mud takes over. In many places, only one car can pass at a time. Trucks have to wait, back up, or juggle to avoid falling down the cliff. At any moment, an avalanche could come down or a loose rock could roll down. Zoji is known for being the only viable connection between Kashmir and Ladakh during the summer. But in winter, it becomes a dead end. Authorities try to keep the road open, but it is often impossible. And even when it is open, only vehicles with strong traction, experienced drivers, and a lot of nerve can make it to the end. Number 8. Los Caracles Pass, Andes Mountains, Chile and Argentina. Back in Latin America, our destination is now straight to the Andes Mountains. Between Chile and Argentina, there is a road that looks more like a spiral staircase carved into the rock. It is the famous Los Caracles Pass, or Snail Pass. The name is no exaggeration. The road winds its way up the mountain with dozens of hairpin bends, so tight and so close together that, seen from above, it looks like the trail left by a snail. This stretch is part of National Highway 7, which connects Santiago, Chile, to the Argentine city of Mendoza. The altitude exceeds 6,500 feet, which in itself makes the journey risky. But the real danger comes from the lack of side protection, narrow lanes, and unstable weather. When it rains, rocks fall. When it snows, the asphalt freezes. And when the weather clears, the wind can unbalance even the heaviest vehicles. Even so, the Los Caracol Pass remains one of South America's main trade routes. Truck drivers face the journey almost every day, knowing that there is no room for error. Any slip, and the ravine will be the end of them. Number 9. Paso dello Stelvio, Italian Alps, Italy. Leaving the mountains of South America, we now arrive in Europe. and it is in the Italian Alps that one of the most challenging routes on the continent is located, the Paso dello Stelvio. Located in northern Italy, almost on the border with Switzerland, this mountain pass reaches an altitude of over 8,800 feet. But the most impressive number is not the height, it is the number of curves. There are 78 zigzags in a row, winding around cliffs with narrow lanes and little margin for error. In winter, the scenery becomes a complete challenge. The road freezes, fog rolls in, and snow covers the asphalt. Even in summer, the route requires total attention because there is no shoulder on most of the curves, and there is constant traffic from cyclists, tourists, and small cars. Despite all this, the view is spectacular. On one side, green slopes and deep valleys. On the other, waterfalls, glaciers, and snow-capped peaks. It's the kind of road that looks like something out of a dream, except that any slip could turn the ride into a nightmare. Number 10. Atlantic Ocean Road, Norway. To end our tour of road traps, we head straight to northern Norway, where engineering has challenged the sea and common sense. This is where you'll find the Atlantic Ocean Road, a highway so daring that it looks more like a roller coaster track over the Atlantic. Only 8 kilometers long, it connects 7 small islands via curved and sloping bridges built right over the open North Atlantic Sea. The road is narrow with no shoulder and completely exposed to the wind, rain, and violent waves that crash against the concrete. On bad days, the sea covers part of the road, and there are reports of cars losing control due to the impact of the water or the force of the winds. The most famous bridge on the stretch is Sundet, famous for its sharp curve that, depending on the angle, seems to end in the void. It has been the setting for films, series, and even car commercials, with its appearance of an impossible road. Even so, the Atlantic Ocean Road has become a tourist destination. On clear days, the view is impressive. Gray sea, fishing villages in the distance, blocks of stone, and Nordic silence. But as soon as the weather changes, you are reminded that this road was not made for leisure. It was made for those who are brave. These are just a few of the highways that defy the laws of gravity and reason. Would you dare to drive on any of them? Tell us in the comments which stretch you found the scariest. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our Bello Mundo channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos about incredible and scary places. See you on the next trip.